options too. So you can drop more like a Unreal Tournament style, where the gun will just hover, or
Okay.
like Doom, or you can do the Halo style where the gun will physically like bounce around and
So I was thinking, because I like it to be where guns, like I don't know if you play Division, but it's like most of the all your gear is like in an inventory system, and like
Mhm.
when you get gear, it's either in a loot box or your stash or something. It's never really like on the ground, you know what I mean? And when it is on the
Mhm.
ground, it's like represented as like a yellow beam or a red beam if it's an exotic, or green, depending on the rarity.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's never really actually on the ground.
Mhm.
And I think doesn't that save it, make it so that it's not as expensive, or does it matter?
Uh, I it I don't know. Yeah, I'd have to look at Division, but I highly doubt they're doing that unless you're dropping like hundreds of items, in which case then yeah, it does make sense that they're um maybe swapping to a simpler asset. But yeah, it's
Okay,
hard to say whether it's optimization or just like a stylistic thing.
okay. What would you suggest? Like, if this is what I want to do. Okay, in a nutshell, you already know how my loot system's going to be for the gear and the weapons with the rarity and whatnot.
Mhm.
How would I be able to get those, um, all that gear and all that weapon randomized, so that when you kill a boss or when you search a loot box, that it opens up with that random piece of gear with the random value. But at the same time,
Um,
still have it, like let's say, like, I don't know how that works with a system where you would drop a weapon. You know what I mean?
well, yeah, something like the Division will have a pretty robust like stats generation system, or I don't know, I guess it's a build thing maybe, so they'll drop an item, and I don't know if they randomize the stats on it or they just have a ton of items that all have different stats that were set by designer.
They,
Um,
they
but
have it. They have it like, okay. They have brand sets where they like you got gear that's called a certain thing, like, and that gear comes already with like uh like damage to armor and
so then it
armor
sounds
extra.
like a designer, probably one of the the game design team, created like let's say 100 assets, right? And they hand tuned. They're like, okay, this armor has this stats on it and this perk and
Yeah, but it
whatnot.
drops a random stats. Give me one second. I'm getting a phone call.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they basically set all the gear, and the thing is though, there's a range of how it drops. Like, this has like
So that
8.5%
gear
headshot
can drop
damage.
with, yeah.
Yeah,
So that gear can still have a little bit of variation, right? So even though like
exactly.
it's
So
the same armor piece, it can have a little bit of variation in the stats. Yeah.
exactly, that's kind of like what I'm trying to do. I have my gear. Um, I have my gear that I have right here, and by default they have certain values. I mean, by default they're defined based on whether it's an armor piece, a DPS, or healer. And within that there's hold on. And within that, I'm gonna have like a certain amount of headshot damage resistance for a certain helmet between a range
Mhm.
of 25 to 40% for a legendary helmet. So that legendary helmet could drop between that with, headshot damage resistance, but with a percentage within a range of 25 to 40%. You get it?
Yeah, yeah. So I guess what's your question? The question is, how do you do that?
Like, yeah, how do I create a loot system like that? And I don't like, I was just looking at how you would drop the weapons and whatnot, and we don't drop weapons in the division. I know they drop weapons in Halo, but Halo already has set valued weapons. There are no random
Yeah,
value weapons or
yeah,
anything like
yeah.
that. And I don't know any looter shooter where it drops weapons except for like Borderlands. right? Doesn't
Yeah.
Borderlands drop weapons?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, they do.
So
Yeah.
maybe, maybe it could be something like that because I really like the Borderlands weapon system, but I like the building system of Division, like to make builds, put different gear together to create different play
Well,
styles.
yeah, that stats heavy stats driven system is uh that's something that you'll have to either build out or find a system like there's for example there's the system that Unreal ships called the ability gameplay ability system
I heard of that.
gas. Yeah, that is a massive system that like gives you all these crazy stats and controls, and you can you can have like a perk within a certain range. So it's a huge system though. It's pretty massive. Um, or there might be something on the marketplace that's like a easier to use version of gas, because gas is pretty complex to
I
use.
heard it's
You'll
mixed
have
with C++
to,
too.
yeah, you'll need to do some C++ for that. So yeah, because the weapon kit, we don't build a stat system just because we don't know like what type of game people are going to choose to make with it. So, it's hard for us to like build a specific stat system, because then it might work for one game, but then someone else wants to do something totally different. It's also why we don't do inventory system, because you might want to use it with a particular type of inventory system, or um, so we've kept it kind of open-ended that way. That way, if you want to build something more like Halo, you can, or if you want to build something more like Borderlands that's very stats driven, then you would have to have your own stat system that attaches to the weapon. Um, but yeah, in terms of like how you would go about building something like that, I would first maybe define all the different stats that you can have on an item.
Do you
And
find it in within
then
the Unreal Engine or conceptualize it?
yeah, just on a piece of paper, like
I've already
write down
done that.
like, okay, here's,
I've already
yeah,
put that
okay, cool.
for
So
every piece of gear, and see, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to look. I'm doing this solo, right? And I understand.
mhm,
I'm still learning, but like I said, I'm a fast learner, and you've been pointing me in the right direction. And since then, I went ahead and made this manageable health bar right here.
mhm.
And today I was gonna, add to the interface of the health bar damage so that I could, things in the world can apply damage to them. And
Yeah,
yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to plug things together. Now I don't want to make it like super complicated and super complex. And a lot of the things that I have on my gear, like aren't hard to implement. I just attach the values to them with the tagging system that you told me about. And sometimes I just need to know how to plug it in. It doesn't really have to be that complex because the way I want to have it set such that when the randomized factor of it does so much for me or for the game just in general. Because if I just attach
yeah.
values
So
to the
to do
attachments,
randomization, like you're saying, for the division, you'll need to define like for each item, what are the ranges. So like here's the stat that this item can have, and what are the ranges of randomization, right? So
right?
you'll need a way to say like, okay, this item has health, it has shield resist, it has, et cetera, these four stats on it. And then
Then
you'll
you
have
can
to
put it into the
define
randomization.
like you'll
Hmm.
have to define what the range of randomization is. Like,
Right,
can it
between
go
15 and
like
25%.
10? Yeah, yeah, exactly. So like what's the range? So that this stuff you can do with structs. Like you could uh, have a struct that defines a stat, um, or you could do it as variables. Like
There's
there's
no
no
one
like
way,
one
right?
correct way to do it. Yeah, but like I think structs is a good way to do it, because then you can pass the struct around. Like you could pass the struct to a widget that draws the stats for the weapon or something.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I had a struct here somewhere when I was doing character inventory. Um, yeah, here talking about this.
yeah, yeah. So you could create your own type and call it, weapon stats, and then it can
Okay.
have some properties in here that you set. So you could set like here's all the stats that can be on a weapon. So actually, we do the same pattern. So I'll show you, for example, if you go to the weapon kit. So we don't have stats, but we have some properties on the weapon. So I can show you how we set it up. So if you go to weapons, classes, or sorry, weapon kit, blueprints, classes, and then go to like weapon config, body config, I think it's called. Uh, yeah.
Oh, okay. So
So
this is
this is
okay. So you
this
find
is a
different ammo.
struct that I use to configure the gun because different guns have different properties. Not all of them have a mount for the
So
scope.
these are
Not all of
children.
them have
These are
mount for the
children to
muzzle.
the. No, go ahead. Just keep.
These are just like struct properties. Yeah. So I've created this struct called body configuration, and I use it on the weapon. So like for example, the shotgun does not have a muzzle mount, right? So I that's how I know that if you set the muzzle mount on the shotgun, I don't actually attach anything there.
Right.
So I then put the struct on the different weapons, and then I can configure them to be like this one has a pointer mount, this one has a muzzle mount. Um,
To know which
this
has what
one,
and which doesn't have what.
yeah, and then my customization code can just easily look up these settings and be like, okay, don't bother attaching a muzzle to this gun, um, or don't bother attaching a rifle accessory to the pistol because it's way too small for that.
Right.
Um, So you could use this pattern where you create a struct that has the properties that you want on the weapon, and then you create a variable for that struct on each weapon that you have.
Well, you already have it set up for your weapon system, so that's already done. All I need to do is attach.
Well, but yeah, the ones that we've created they're solely for like customizing the weapon. The one you want is like gameplay specific. So you could just create another one, another struct, and you can add it to our weapons as a variable. And then that
Oh,
one you can go ahead and like change and add, your weapon stats and stuff too.
so I would add the struct.
The problem is if you yeah, I'll show you how to do it. So let's maybe go to wherever you want to create this new struct, some folder. Uh,
Trying to think what would be good. Um, because this would be like kind of like the weapon system, right?
yeah,
For
this is your gameplay side of the weapon system, yeah. So you can put it, anywhere in your project that makes sense.
okay. Um,
Yeah, you can just put it on the top level for now too if you're not sure. So here we can right click and we can do go to blueprints, yeah, the drop down blueprints, and then do structure at the very bottom. And let's call this like weapon stats. Now you double click, open that guy, and here we can start to add some variables. So maybe the first variable is like
would these be the weapon talents
these could be the yeah, they could be anything really. Like you can
in
do
reference
lots
to
of
the
different
game? In
variable
reference to the
types.
game, this is how it
Mhm.
is. So let's say I have a muzzle that does 15% um extra damage or whatever, but you already have the
Yeah.
muzzle in there. So I'm trying to attach this stat to that muzzle. So then what I
Uh,
would be the
yeah.
talent, you know what I'm saying?
So yeah. So we could create another struct for like attachment stats and weapon stats, right? So that way you can have some basic stats
So
that are
what's
on the
this struct
weapon and
for
some
then?
basics.
This is for what is this struct for then?
So this could be like the base weapon properties, you know. So if you want, you could add like whatever properties you might want to have on your weapons. Like maybe it has some damage resist, maybe it has some like uh, you know, I don't know, whatever the division has, I guess, on the base weapon.
Okay, excuse me for my ignorance again. I know what I kind of know what you're talking about. I'm just trying to figure out the levels of this. So like, um, I'm assuming that the weapons already have those properties on them. So
From the weapon kit.
yeah,
The weapon kit weapons don't have any stats on them, so they
they
don't have any like damage resist or any of that stuff. Yeah,
okay
they're just like functional weapon
that you
assets.
can
Yeah.
code to shoot.
Yeah, but you can extend them. So you basically like what we've done is created an asset that's working and super easy for you to get started with, and then you can extend them to have the logic that is specific to your game. Because again, we can't predict all the different types of games that people might want to create with the weapon
Right,
kit. So that's why we don't do any gameplay specific stuff. We're just
right.
making sure like the weapons work, the attachments work, all the skins work. So we're saving you like a couple of months of work of like having to create a weapon from scratch,
Awesome,
right?
awesome.
But yeah, the gameplay stuff it's hard for us to add in gameplay because again, it's like, someone else wants to make a Borderlands or someone else wants to do just like a COD, and so we
Okay,
can't really predict like all the different.
looking at it from a Borderlands perspective, of course you understand that weapon loot
Mhm.
system, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
what would I put here for that type? What would go here for this struct for the first level of
Yeah, so Borderlands has like, incendiary
okay,
percent chance, stuff
okay,
like that.
perfect. So
Yeah.
I have these magazine abilities, right? One is called Ripple, where basically
Hmm.
this um the hollow point rounds have a small percent chance to critically strike them no matter where they hit the body. Because in my game, the critical areas are the head, the chest, and the kneecaps. With this ammo
Yeah.
type, it has a chance to critically strike anywhere because of its 5.56 hollow point. So would that be one of the attributes I would put for one of these?
Yeah, if it's tied to the weapon,
It's
you could
called
add it
Ripple.
here, yeah. Yeah. You can just call the member, call it Ripple, and then
Okay.
what is it? Is it's a number value? Is it a percentage or is it what is
It's
it
a random
exactly?
percentage. It's a random percent that when a
So
bullet hits you, it can critically strike you. But I don't even have a critical element in my game yet.
yeah, yeah. So if this is a stat, then change the type from Boolean to float,
Right.
right?
Okay. Yeah, because it's number value.
Yeah. And then yeah, now you could put a percentage in here. So maybe by default everything has like 10% ripple or something,
Ah. Okay.
right? Um so yeah, just hit save. So this is just an example, but you could add a whole bunch of other parameters here.
So
So
what parameters
these would
do these parameters have to be all magazines, or I could do because I have scope ability too and muzzle abilities.
So yeah, depending, and this is very game specific, but depending on how you want to structure it, you could create multiple structs. So you could, we've created a struct called weapon stats, but you could create like scope stats
Okay.
and
So
muzzle stats, and
so
you
this is
could have,
gonna be magazine
right?
stats right here. This is struct I have for magazine.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you could rename this to magazine stats, right? And then
Okay. Perfect. See, now I'm starting to understand it.
it'll capture like, yeah,
And then so then I could attach this to the tagging system or this, but because this is going to be
yeah.
randomized with the weapons. I mean, does the tagging system be is that going to be part of the randomization?
So yeah, so the one thing you'll need is a way to tie, because our attachments are just static meshes.
Right.
They're not actors.
Yeah,
So
that's
we
what we
just
talked
need a
about
way to
before.
tie these stats. Yeah, we need a way to tie these stats to the attachments.
So okay,
Um,
how would I do that?
and
You
there
said
there's a simple
there's no
way.
one way. Oh, it is okay. What
So one simple way might be to, sorry, what?
I'm just saying real quick before you start. Um, this next
Yeah.
one is called impactful, and this is basically armor piercing rounds specifically made to pierce um heavily armored enemies. So would that still be
Mhm.
afloat? Because all of these gonna affect their health, right?
Yeah. Well, so yeah, whether if it's a percent, then you probably either want it to be an integer or a float, depending on how
Integer
you're
is a point number,
calculating
right?
these stats. Integer is just like a whole number, so
Oh,
1, 2, 3, 4.
so
Whereas
which one is the
whereas
point?
floating point is like,
Oh,
yeah,
the float is
floating
the
point
point.
is the
Okay,
point.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So the integer is the a whole.
So there you could do like 2.5. Yeah.
Okay, okay, all right. So this is still going to be in this category, impactful, because it's going to deal a certain amount of damage to the armor. Now, blast is another one that I have, and this is basically explosive rounds. And oops. And this would cause screen shake and
Okay.
stagger the enemies in PvE, but not in PvP. It would be screen shake in PvP. So this would have to affect the post processing volume, I think, because it would occur to that person like on your screen.
Yeah, yeah. So you'll have to like read the blast value and then uh, do something to the post process volume.
Okay, so then is this still a float? Like, in what case would this won't this
It
be a float or an integer?
if it's a stat in generally, if it's a number, then like I said, you either want it to be an int or a float. If you want the zero point 0.5 ability, then it has to be a float. If you want just like solid numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, then go for int.
Okay, rapid.
It kind of depends on how you're going to do the math for like calculating the effect of these stats. But I would say start with float, and then if you want
Okay,
to,
all
you
right,
can
and then we
always
can
change it
change it. Yeah.
later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I have rapid. This is the increased rate of fire. Bottomless rebel. Of course, that's gonna be an integer. That's increased magazine size or rather.
Yeah, so like ammo count or
Yeah.
magazine size or something, that could be an int because it doesn't make sense to have like 2.5 bullets.
Right, right. So this because it's directly. Okay. What's the integer 64?
It's just a much larger integer. It can go up to like I don't know, like 2 trillion or something.
Okay. All right. So of course,
Whereas normal integers are limited to 4 billion.
so the scopes. Okay, I'm starting to understand this. So the scopes, like I have one called Clear as Day, where you can see clearly no matter what the weather conditions. That's definitely post processing volume, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just go rename this, and so you could tell me, and then you could now that I understand what this is, I'm gonna make like three different structures for the abilities, and then because the
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
is,
you could do different ones. Yeah.
right? So the thing is, with the rarity system for a rare weapon, it's only gonna have one. It's only gonna allow one ability, so that means it's gonna be only accessible to one of these structs, right? So a rare weapon can drop with just a magazine ability. Then it would only be able to access a one of these random abilities because it's rare. Oh, this is good. I like this, man. Cool. Okay, so I would change this to magazine stats or
Yeah,
magazine
you can do
abilities.
rename. Yeah, just do rename or F2. Yeah. So this would be magazine stats, I guess, right? These are the stats on your magazine.
Right, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. So how would I then tie this to your magazine? They're gonna all look the same.
Yeah, so
Just
to tie them together in our system, probably the easiest way is to look up the name of the attachment. And so if you had a table of magazine stats, so let's say you created a table of magazine stats, you could have the row name be the mesh name. So like, if let's say, I don't know, we have like 3 scopes, right? So you could create 3 rows in that table that are named the same as the meshes, the scope meshes.
but it's different.
And then
Okay.
you could quickly look up the stats for that mesh then. So you could be like, okay, I have the scope 24 mesh on. So let me look up the stats for that. And then, you know, that'll let you kind of tie the stats to the attachment.
And then randomization system would then select whatever one is in that row or
The randomization you'll have to do yourself, yeah. So you'll have to do some math to randomize those values. if you want to randomize them, yeah. So, because when you get the values, it's just going to return whatever's in the table. But so you'll have to like process that value, that the struct that gets returned, and maybe add or subtract some random amounts from the stats.
Okay, cool. Um, all right, cool. So, okay, okay, so that's how we randomize the weapons and whatnot. I'm gonna deep dive into that and try and create a system for that. But
Yeah, so I would say just for just so that we remember like how to do this. So magazine stats, let's just right click here and create a table
on magazine
next to
stats
this asset.
or next to it.
Yeah, let's yeah. And then do where is it? Miscellaneous and do
Data
data
table.
table. Yeah. And then select where it says none, just select magazine stats, that struct that we've created, and hit OK. So this will be our basically our table of magazine stats,
All of
right?
them. That's related
Yeah.
to the
So
struct.
here, yeah.
What
So
would I
here,
rename it?
like you can open this table. You can call it magazine stats table or something.
Okay.
And let's add a row.
Oh, this is just
And
like the
so the
inner.
row name, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So this row name, I would put the actual mesh name of the magazine. So like one of our magazines is called
To identify which one.
just called like
Is this
yes,
this
because
has to
then
be, is
we'll
this
look
naming
up
convention reliant? Does it
yes, yeah, it
it
is
has to be
reliant
the
on naming
same?
convention, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like you could do, S underscore auto pistol magazine is like one of the magazines,
It's
right?
not any caps.
For the weapon kit. Uh it it won't be case sensitive, but you should just type it case sensitive and I don't know, just for readability.
Okay. S underscore what?
S underscore auto pistol magazine. So it's camel case, yeah.
Okay, so this is the static mesh, correct?
Yeah, this is the name of the static mesh.
Okay.
So when we have this magazine on ours, we can quickly look up the table and see like, hey, give me the stats for this magazine.
Okay. S underscore auto pistol magazine.
Yeah, magazine.
All right.
Yeah, and then you can set what the defaults are for that. So for the auto pistol magazine, you could set, maybe it doesn't have ripple, maybe it has blast, it has some rapid, or.
Hey, bro, do you know how awesome? You don't know what I just felt right now when you just told me that, dude. But I can randomize this in code,
Yeah,
right?
so in code, when you retrieve this, you could add some random, add or subtract random amounts to this. Yeah.
Magazine stats data table. I should just get used to hitting F2. Magazine. Now, do you let me ask you. I've been drawn to interfaces a lot. I really like them.
Mhm.
You mess with
Yeah.
interfaces at all? Because it allows you
I've
to,
used them sometimes, yeah.
yeah, because it allows you to interact with a parent that's not part of that family, you know.
Yeah, yeah, it allows you to escape inheritance structures, which is good sometimes.
So, okay,
The downside is that, if let's say you have an interface that has like 20 functions on the interface,
right?
everything that inherits that interface has to have its own implementations for those 20 functions. And so
Okay.
later, if you have to fix one of those functions, you'll have to go to every object that does the interface and fix that
So you want to be
function.
careful with that.
So yeah, I mean, it's a useful tool. Like as with everything, there's some plus sides and some downsides.
Okay.
So
All right. So,
yeah, but yeah, it is a useful tool for in some situations. Yeah,
all right.
like people do, they do like a mouse clickable or hoverable interface or something, and then anything that will take like a hover outline when you mouse over it, will just implement that interface. Or
Right, right. So that's the
there's
perfect
lots
time
of
to do it.
yeah, there's lots of good examples of when to use them.
So I ended up doing this, right? I ended up combining it. Now, notice like when you walk up to here, it does interact. I haven't
Oh,
coded.
nice. Yeah.
I haven't, and these are the blueprinted weapons. But
Okay.
um, it's weird though because if I go here, this right here, this is just basically a system that allows for you to customize the color and whatnot, right?
Yeah, yeah. The properties on the weapon. Yeah.
So when I attached it to this on component begin overlap and took this off, which is what implements the interface to um provide the possibility to pick up the weapon.
Mhm.
We did that last time. It picked the weapon up because it cast it.
Yeah.
So how can I have how can I have both of these? Like you know how I'm trying to
Yeah. So if you need the interface on the gun, what you could do is just add the interface to our base class, the base weapon
and
class.
and then it'll
Uh,
implement all of it based on this.
yeah, exactly. Then it'll just like find the interface on the gun and it'll do whatever is happening here.
So
So that's one approach. Yeah.
okay, so then I'll go to your weapons kit.
Yeah. So you can go to weapon kit and
Okay.
so the only tricky thing here
Oh boy.
is that when we update, oh shoot, you know what, hold on, I'll call back real quick. I just gotta take a call.
Okay. So,
Hey,
hello.
all right, sorry about that.
Yep. I think it's here. You see?
Um, oh yeah, so I was saying, yeah, you can just add the interface to this base class. The downside is that when we push updates and you update the weapon kit, then it might overwrite this change. Um, so you'll just have to be careful when you update. You might have to just re-add this interface.
That's not a big thing. Um. So it seems like it's already here. Like, where would I add it?
So to add the interface, you go to class settings, which is on the top bar.
Oh, here it is.
And yeah, so here you'll add this interface.
What is it
Yeah, what is it called?
called? On interaction range exited and entered. It's it's already here.
Oh, that's interesting. How does it
Well, no, it
already
says
there?
no interface.
Maybe you tried to add it in the past or something, or
Maybe. So, okay, so what does that mean? Does that mean that whenever I like set up the logic to pick up the weapon after I, hit F, then whatever
so it
color or
should,
whatever I
yeah, if it
selected to, it'll already do that.
yeah, it should if it has the interface, then it should work with
It's
your
not
existing
connected
pickup
though.
system.
So where will this be
Well, so
connected
yeah, you could just connect it after it gets
after
the
all of this?
interface and it's true. So after the true part of that branch, you could connect it up in there.
Here?
Yeah. Um, well, and you still want to do that method, yeah. So don't skip that method.
Yeah, I thought
So
it
you can
was
do
I thought it would be a double binding or something. You know, I'm still trying to
yeah,
get familiar with
yeah.
this.
There you go. And then you just need a
Oh,
reference still to the
right, the
you need to
object
pass in other actor
right
into
here.
there. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So this should still
I
do what
think
we were
I
doing
did
last time,
this.
but it should also work with your.
So what this did when I did this already, and what this did is that it automatically just picked it up and changed it to the color. See?
Yeah, there you go.
But
Okay.
it's doing it. It's picking up all the weapons, and then it doesn't. The thing is, it's not gonna. It doesn't work with the pickup system I was gonna do because you have to hit F to pick up the weapon.
Uh, yeah, you'll have to implement that here. So you'll have to
Put it in
basically
between
not.
here,
You'll have to check, yeah, is F being pressed? And if it is being pressed, then
then do this.
pick up the weapon. Yeah.
Okay, so that this
So
that
you'll have,
code would go
yeah,
in
you'll
right here.
it'll probably go before this. So even before the branch that's true, you might want to check like, are you actually holding F? Yeah.
So this just
Because
has to be
otherwise,
implemented after all of that, basically.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
because this is just a system, a customization system. This isn't.
Yeah, this is what we're giving you so that all the nitty-gritty of like customizing the gun and stuff you don't have to deal with. It's already built in and you can just call these methods.
And what you're working
Uh,
on now is a randomization system to be added to this system.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, so it'll go on top of this where you could just call randomize and it'll randomize all of these things.
where would you call
Um,
randomize? Right here.
Same way that you're calling like set skin color, you just drag off the weapon actor, reference. Yeah, just like you're doing set skin type,
Yeah,
you can just drag off the weapon and
randomize.
do random.
All
Yeah.
right. So
So the next version will have that. Yeah.
is it gonna have all of these? Oh, because these are default, so I could change these right now if I want. Huh? So then I
Yeah.
will call for
Yeah.
randomize here then too, huh?
Yeah. In fact, you won't even need to call these separately. The randomize can like
Implement
randomize
all
all
of
of
them.
these things.
Cool.
Yeah. So
So
it'll
so
just
so
be
then I
one
wouldn't.
function
So
call.
why am I casting? Because the casting is what's making him pick up the weapon.
No, right now you're just casting after you pick up the weapon. So you're still picking up the weapon
Here,
using the interface.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then this is just
But then after that, you just need to cast so that you can get access to these methods that customize the gun. Because that is not done through the interface. That's done through the
so,
actor
so I'm so
reference.
I'm good here. All I need to do is finish this logic to pick up the
That
weapon,
yeah, that logic. Yeah.
and then
So
put this in after all of that.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
have to make sure that it's true before, like, because the tutorial I was following, it wasn't telling me. He just had this code in there to where he'd pick up the weapon, and even had it to where he could aim and shoot.
yeah,
But there was nothing, like, I didn't have this, so I have to figure out some logic to make sure that he just doesn't pick it up automatically. I don't know.
yeah. So if you're doing the press F to pick up, then yeah,
I have
you
to
need to
define that.
check like, is F being held down? If
Just
it's
a
not,
branch.
then don't do anything. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it's a branch. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry about this. I wanted you to help me. I wanted you to help me. I wanted you to like. Okay. I want to do a shooting with no projectiles because projectiles is expensive, even if it's a assault rifle or a fast firing weapon. Only projectiles for rocket launchers and such is smart, right?
Yeah, so that's the standard way to do weapons in game industry is you do hit scan for very fast bullets, things that are moving roughly the speed of sound or something, you just
Yeah.
do a hit scan. And you can do projectiles too. I mean, it's doable. Like some games like Arma and stuff where they're doing a much more accurate simulation of the bullet, like the bullet will drop as it flies through the air, and so you can do projectiles if you want
Yeah, but I'm not
for
going that
assault
deep. That
rifles.
like you know how on
Yeah.
Battlefield they have bullet drop and
Yeah,
all
you're
of that.
doing more Division, Call of
Yeah,
Duty style, where most of
what's
it
more
is hit
important?
scan.
Most of the
Yeah.
important is damage numbers and so people can see what's going on based on, and then the
Yeah, yeah,
muzzles
yeah.
is what's gonna make people believe that it's firing and whatnot. And
Yeah, exactly. So for hit scan stuff, I'm actually planning to add some hit scan methods, some easy hit scan methods to Weapon Kit because I think it will be useful.
okay,
Um,
this is gonna be a journey, bro. Like I
yeah.
mean, I understand you trying to, you're trying to do your thing and all that, and I'm gonna support you, and I'm gonna get whatever you buy because, like, what you're telling me is just like going hand in hand with what I'm doing, and I just really want to get on here with you because I'm close to revealing what I have so far to my subscribers, and I just want them to
Yeah,
follow
yeah.
me along.
No,
But
it
I
should be exciting.
yeah, but I just want to make sure I got all my ducks in a row so that I could keep moving forward. And sometimes
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
get
I
stuck.
think. Oh yeah. I mean, there's lots of little details that in game dev you'll get stuck on for a few hours or whatever, and then you have to just like figure out a solution.
Yeah.
That's very common. Yeah.
So do you feel like I'm hitting all like the way that I'm talking to you and the way that I'm receiving information? Do you think that I'm pretty understanding? I understand it pretty much in a good way. Like I'm sure you have students that.
Yeah. I mean, I would say so you're definitely past beginner for blueprints. So I think a lot of people are just starting off. That said, if you are planning to build something as grand as like Division, I would say like yeah, try to try to carve out like a small piece of it because something like the Division is made with like 150 to 200 people working for like 5 years, right? And they'll spend about $250 million on development. So it's like even like if I wanted to build the Division, as a someone who has 12 years in the game industry, like I can't because it's just way too much work. Um, but that's not to say that you can't build like a nice shooter with like some of the stats from the Division style stats and make that feel
That's what
really
I'm trying
good.
to do. That's what I'm
Yeah,
trying to do, bro.
yeah, yeah,
Like okay, Division has tons of talents, right, for their weapons.
yeah, yeah.
And like right here I have 5 magazines. I have 5 scopes and 5 suppressors, and these are just going to be randomized between the weapons that you have in the kit. Now
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just going to attach the values to those and set up a randomization system so that when you pick up that weapon, it's randomized between all of that with the rarity system involved. Now I don't think that's that as complex as we may think it is. You know,
It's very doable. Yeah, it's very doable. And there you are going to run into not roadblocks, but like you're going to find
bugs.
out like the details, the nitty-gritty details of a stat system can actually be it's actually quite fun to try to build your own stat system, mimicking like a Borderlands or something. But those teams they put a lot of work into the
I mean,
stats systems, and
of
yeah,
course, and
yeah,
they have to because it's a AAA game. People are getting paid.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
So it is fun to recreate that actually by yourself, but you might want to simplify like a few things here and there
it's
just
gonna
to
be
make your life
simplified, man.
easy.
It's
Yeah,
gonna be simplified because it has to be because I'm solo, and I think that I'm on the right
yeah,
track
yeah.
because what you're telling me is that with the struct and the struct table and everything like that, it's doable. And
Oh yeah,
I've
yeah.
already
I think
started
this
it.
is the
You
it's the
know,
cleanest way to do it.
they have so basically there's
For
a
the
struct
setup.
system for everything. There's a struct for your inventory. There's a struct for your gear system.
Yeah, I mean
You've
you
defined
can
everything.
create as many of those types as you want, struct types, and structs are useful. Structs are actually something that very commonly used in programming, like C++ side of things also.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's super nice that they let you do it in blueprints as well.
Can you tell me real
'Cause it
quick?
is,
Sorry,
yeah.
I keep cutting you off. I'm just trying to utilize time as best as possible. Um, could you tell me real quick how like I have a damageable health system already. I have a
Mhm,
damageable health bar. I really like it, man. I really like how the damage comes down like that. It's really sick.
mhm, yeah.
and it just makes you feel like you're taking damage, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I- so I have an interface, right, attached to that, the health interface. And I'm just trying to confirm.
Yeah, so anything that has that interface will can show that damage bar. Is that sort of how it works?
Yeah, and so I don't think um I don't think I have a damage. Where did I put that? I don't think I have a damage function in that that uh interaction interface. But I have to have that in there in order to.
You may not even need one because Unreal actually has a built-in take damage function that's on all actors.
So,
So you could actually just use that.
so I was hoping that you know how time just flies. I was hoping that, and this is lag. Is it because I have like a lot of stuff, like my C drive, bro? Like, look at this.
Oh, it's hard for me to tell, yeah, because I guess with the
Look at this,
compression it
bro.
is a little choppy anyways. Yeah, that's probably why.
That's probably why,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
I for some reason
You might
I
need to
can't
clean
figure
up your
out.
C drive a bit.
Can't figure out.
You use you know what's useful? There's a software called Tree Size or Tree, what is it called? It's just called Tree Size. It's super useful for seeing like where the space is going
Okay,
on your drive.
that's something I'm gonna have to figure out. But that's minor. But I was hoping that
Yeah.
that I could have I could be able to. I was like I could start shooting and have these guys move around, and then like I could shoot them. But I just have to put together that I have to get to work and start. Um, you know.
Yeah, no, I mean you'll be working towards that. I mean yeah, I mean that's the fun part obviously once you get the shooting and damage and stuff, but it's like one step at a time. You'll definitely get there.
Yeah,
Uh
I'm just glad I was able to get a lot better understanding about how to add these values and stuff. And that thing that we worked on last week, it was what was it where we added the
uh
different
gameplay tags. Yeah.
yeah, the gameplay tags. Where was that at? Because is that where I would add the code in to connect the different things? Like it's like for example, this is the question I wanted to ask. You see how I have a health bar
Mhm.
right here, but for my tank character, for that chest piece, whenever I put that on, because I went ahead and added, if you notice, when I put this on, it says special ammo. When I put this on, it says overshield, right?
Yeah.
And when I put this on, it says health over time. So how would I then add a overshield to like an armor bar above this? Because this is already made to implement like another, and it'll still perform the same. But how would I put that on top of that so that it can
Yeah.
take damage before the health? No.
So you'll need to notify that widget that says like, hey, I've added, another property like armor or something, and then that widget will have to draw another bar, let's say for the armor. Um,
Would that be in the widget editor?
it'll be in probably your character code, so when your character attaches the new item to themselves, that's when they
In
can
the
notify the widget.
viewport?
No, it should just be third person character. I mean, I guess I'd have to know like where's the shield being attached to you, like where's that code? So probably around there you'll want,
Yeah, because I didn't even do the shield yet. But I do have the health bar, and the health bar is going to be
or
essentially the
or
same as the shield.
where are you printing that overshield? So where's that print statement?
It's after that we did it together.
I don't remember where that was exactly. I might have to jump off here in a bit.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so wherever you're printing, that's where
You
your
would
code knows that like you've just added
the
an
overshell.
armor. Yeah, and so right after that print statement, you could add some extra code to be like, get me the widget that represents my health and tell it to now draw an armor bar as well.
Okay. I just wanted to go there before you get off so you can see it. Can't remember. Would that be gear? Class gear? Okay, I think it's here. Um, class bonuses, widgets. Okay, here's the. Hmm. Yeah, it was here somewhere, bro. It was remember we identified which ones they were. It was like
Yeah, yeah,
what
I'm
was that
trying to think
called?
too because I don't remember where we did that.
This is why you have teams. Uh,
Uh, is there some like inventory system code somewhere?
of that. No. Yeah, there is an
The other
inventory.
thing you could do for is you could search for the string. So you could do Control F,
Here
I
it is.
think.
Here it is.
Yeah, you found it?
Um, see the gear inventory. Um,
Oh yeah, so it's probably in here then, in one of these classes.
yeah, it has to be. Slot.
No, these are just widgets, so it may not be here. Wardrobe, probably Wardrobe is the actor that's managing this. Hmm.
We was looking for this before.
Well, let me know when you find it and just send like a screenshot across, and I can maybe give you some tips on like what to do after that. But yeah, I'll have to jump off here because I need to catch up with some of my client stuff.
Okay.
Um,
Let me
yeah,
let me.
just keep shooting me your questions.
Do you have any
I'll
rates? Like, can I can I hire you to have like some sessions?
it's tough. I am mostly booked already, so I don't know if I'll have time to like do like paid, tutorials and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, you know what?
Um,
Honestly, this right here is like so valuable to me because I retain information really well. And if we could,
yeah, no,
keep
I'm
doing
down
this,
to do this because it's like easy,
easier for you
whenever I
too.
have time I can just like yeah,
Okay, and
I
then
can just
just let
jump
me
on
know.
and help out.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So then, can we set up something for this weekend then? When you have some free time,
Yeah, yeah, let me
just let me
maybe
know what
for
your
like
schedule is.
yeah, I'm thinking probably Sunday afternoon might be good.
Okay,
Um, something like that. Yeah.
that's good for me
Can
actually.
do, can do a quick session.
All right, then I'll show you where I went from there, and then I'll figure out how to. Cause you put me on the right track, man. And so the same way that struct works with the muzzle, it works the same with the gear too.
Um, yeah, so you could do the same thing for the gear. You could use the mesh name to look up like the stats for that gear. Um,
Mine are skeletal meshes because I brought them in as equipment. I brought them
yeah,
in.
that makes sense because they're skinned to the character. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so I just write the name of the skeletal mesh instead.
yeah, yeah, for the row name, yeah, in the table. Yep, that should work.
All right, man. I'm gonna just take it one step at a time. I don't want to get ahead of myself because if I do that, I'm gonna get frustrated and overwhelmed. But right now,
Yeah,
I
you
have a
know
lot to
that's
go
fine.
on
Yeah.
right now, and I'm gonna get my character shooting and try to get this struct system at least organized, and then go from there, man. But thanks for pointing me in the
Cool,
right
cool.
direction, man, and helping me understand some stuff. I can't wait till you add that randomization element to it, so then we could
Yeah, I'll definitely let you know once it's up.
All right, man.
All
Hey,
right.
hey, what's your name?
Sweet. Oh, Velas.
You-
Yeah,
how do you
name
how
or
do you
just V.
Velas? Where are you from?
I'm from I guess from Los Angeles now, but yeah, uh, before that Boston. So I was on the East Coast for a bit.
I just didn't know what type of name that was. My name is Bilal, Bilal.
Bilal. Okay. Yeah, nice to meet you.
You too, man. Have a good day.
All right, you too.